Redding is a beautiful place. We have national parks in 3 different directions, 2 world-class lakes. This is a sportsman's paradise, but it's also full of wonderful people. We have business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, all of them working towards a singular goal, and that's to make this a great place to live. I wanted to showcase these people, give their perception of the place that they call home. This is allredding. I'm here with Pastor Todd Skinner. So, Pastor Skinner, thank you for coming here today. I'm thinking about, we were just talking before the camera started, and you had some really good things. I was like, oh, that's really good stuff for the camera. But I want to start with, I had Gerald Piper on here. I don't know, it's been a few weeks. The football team had just gone undefeated at Redding Christian. They won the state championship. I mean, that's amazing. And we talked about that. That's probably rehash it a little bit. But then the basketball team turned around right after the football team. And you take it from there. You tell us about what they did and what they were able to pull off.
Yeah, pretty much the same group of guys that won football went ahead and decided, well, let's go try to win basketball also, which had never been done in school history before. And so last year we lost in the D6 NorCal championship
by 2 points.
Brutal.
And he was fouled.
Yes,
that was a blatant foul.
Yes, there was But
the hit in the midair was ridiculous.
Yeah, but we, used that as fuel. Learned a lot from losing, and came back and had to wait to start basketball season. Though had to wait quite a bit because of football. We had to cancel our first 6 games, and we missed 6 weeks of basketball. If we would have just lost early, we could have had 6 weeks of basketball practice. And then Micah got hurt, bad injury. In the very first game, and so that was big. My son Micah, who's our point guard, who's a junior, and that was big. That was big for us. So he finally got back in time to play UPrep, and that was a bummer because he's got friends on UPrep. And he really wanted to play well, but we lost to UPrep, which was kind of one of those games that you circled.
The crosstown rivals.
Yeah, and just. He's got some buddies on the team too, and I used to help coach at UPrep. Got good friends over there, a lot of respect for those guys. And but those type of the adversity and the along the way in the season, getting an opportunity to, so many schools have been generous to Redding Christian. Some of the bigger schools like Foothill and their coaches, like they were super generous to play us, and we were extremely fortunate to get a win in that game for the first time playing them. They're a really good school, and some other key wins throughout the year against some bigger schools. Got to be able to beat Shasta, who also is a good school and a great school. And,
my alma mater.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, it was, got to beat Red Bluff and, got to play PV and lost. But we just this year decided we're going to play the very best schools we possibly can, because we don't want to get to the end of the year like we did the year before and not have an opportunity to be as battle tested as possible. And so we went into the playoffs, and besides having a little hiccup in the semifinals to get to the state final.
I saw that one was closer. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Mendocino, right?
Mendocino.
Yeah, they played you guys well. It was a defensive effort.
It was. And the interesting part of it is the team that we played in the championship and beat really good.
Yeah, you did. You guys pulled away big time in the second half.
That Mendocino had played St. Vincent, that team that we played, and St. Vincent had beat Mendocino by 40 points.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that St. Vincent was looking at how we struggled against Mendocino, thinking, oh, if they only beat them by 15, and it was,
it was 15
an ugly
in the
game.
last. It was you pulled away in the last couple of minutes. Like it was a very tight game, and then the free throws, the fouls at the end, and everybody's hitting their free throws, and then suddenly you win by 15. But you're like, it was way closer than 15 points, guys.
It was way closer. I mean, the score was 16-9 at halftime. It felt like, forgive me, a junior high girls like full
game. The ball
game.
kept going in and going out. It was just like the rim was
it's a couple of our key guys like Micah, Colin, like those guys had struggled that game. So going into the final, NorCal D6
I was nervous
final.
for you guys after the Mendocino game. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I wasn't as much. I told Colin Matos, who I've coached since he was 4 years old, and I just told him and Micah, I said, you guys got this. I said, you guys are going to win. You guys got all the terribleness out in that last game. you're focused, you've prepared. I mean, those guys, Colin and Micah in particular, but Brody, Darren, all the guys, but Colin and Micah in particular put in a lot of hours outside of a basketball season, working on their game.
Oh, that's awesome. And it showed.
Yeah,
they ended up winning the whole thing, which was
insane for Coach Dwyer, Coach Todd Dwyer. That's his first in coaching since I think 2012, maybe.
Really?
It's been like 15 years.
Oh my goodness.
Something like that. Maybe earlier
That's
than
a
that.
comeback right there.
That's his first time winning it. And then his dad, who's been struggling with a lot of health stuff, was able to be right there. And the guys brought his Todd Dwyer's dad out on the court and handed him the plaque.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was a really special moment. But that's the type of guys that those guys are, those basketball players are. They care about, they care as much about doing something like that as they did about, getting that trophy.
Gerald Piper and I talked about that, about the incredible character of these young men and the environment that Redding Christian provides for this.
Yeah.
Because I told our story that we homeschooled our daughters. We had tried public school for like a year earlier. My wife was a school teacher in the Redding School District. And so we tried it and just decided, hey, we could provide a certain environment. It worked out well, especially with 2020 and everything that went on there. It was a mild hiccup for us versus, it threw a lot of people off the rails because it was such a departure, But we talked to our daughters and said, hey, what do you think? They said they absolutely need to go to high school. They need more of the socialization, the being in the sporting events, because even though we homeschooled, they were involved in a lot of sports and stuff, but it's just not the same. And so we were like, whoa. And my wife says that I suggested it. And so then I was like, well, who would I have known? And I'm like, okay, my buddy Josh Barker, I think he must have planted the seed. I don't know where it came from, but I was like, hey, let's check out Redding Christian. When I grew up, there was Liberty Christian, there was North Valley Baptist had a school, I think, or something like that. There was Bishop Quinn, but it was like they weren't around anymore. And I didn't know that they had kind of consolidated into one.
Redding Christian had just collected whoever was left over. Yeah.
And I don't know why all the schools suddenly went away. It's just like probably finances. They just, three people trying to bring a product to market when it really there was only enough consumers that only one person could really bring a product.
Yeah, and it maybe in addition to that, Redding Christian is non-denominational, so there's not like one church that represents it, where North Valley Baptist or North Valley School was one church, and you kind of, if that church was doing well or not doing well, it really affected. Liberty Christian was at Grace Baptist, same thing. I'm not as familiar with
Bishop Quinn.
I
didn't either. I just knew it existed.
But that's a uniqueness about Redding Christian and why it stood probably longer than everybody else now is that you don't have like if Pathway or Stirring or Risen King or Valley or some other church was struggling, it's not going to affect the school. Leilani Guido and others, I can't name exactly, just had a vision for it to be non-denominational to start. Even though it started at Pathway, it was just more like we're still going to be separate. And they've done a great job of that.
Oh, they've done a fantastic job. You and I were talking off camera before we started about the fact that although it's got Christian in the name, there are a lot of kids that go there that aren't necessarily, I think if you're on the outside looking in, you think, okay, this is the church congregation has a day school. And for some it is, but there's people from all walks of life. And you were even talking about one of the things that attracted you to it. And, in 2020, there were some issues and your oldest kid had gone to another school and we saw what the kind of like how the school districts, they were mandated by the state,
right? How
they handled things and how they shut everything down.
Right.
And you didn't like that. And
no.
So if you want to go in a little bit more detail, like how that unfolded?
So my wife, Deborah, and I have 3 kids. Our oldest is Cole. He's 22 now. He's at Grand Canyon University, about to graduate here in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Then our son, Micah, who's 17 and a junior at Redding Christian. And then our daughter, Wesleyan, who is 9th grade. And we had this idea just to have them at Redding Christian for elementary, and then we'll go to a different junior high. Because I'm a pastor, I had the thought, well, I don't want my kid to grow up only around Christian everything in such a way that they're going to be that typical pastor's kid and they're going to throw off everything because it was Christian. And so Cole was our first. He's 5 years older than Micah. So we we had him at a local junior high and then on into high school, and it was a great experience in so many ways. I really don't have anything negative to say about the experience there, but I found along the way that Reading Christian truly has something that partners with my own ideology of the world, let alone a Christian worldview, but just a certain ideology of a parent having the authority in being able to make decisions, and a parent being able
The state doesn't own your kid.
Right. And it became so evident of like, these are my people. And, yes, Christian, but forget Christian. They're here to partner with me to not only protect my kid, but help my kid thrive. And I know some people think, well, it's too expensive. And I'm not saying it doesn't cost money, but if you look at it, it's kind of like a car payment. If you can afford a car payment, you can afford to send your kid to Reading Christian. I think that's probably a narrative that people don't think, oh, it's private education, this and that. No, it's so affordable. I recently was on a panel of parents that had to help the school renew their accreditation, and outside other Christian school administrators have to come in from other places in California and Oregon and ask you questions about the school and different stuff. And one lady who is an administrator down in Sacramento, I think, or Vacaville, said, it's insane how cheap Reading Christian is and what you guys offer.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is.
Because they were at like 12 or 13,000 a year, and Reading Christian's between like 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Something like that, 1,000 a year, which, you break that down to $500 a month. I'm not saying that's nothing, but if you even have more than one kid, they cut that down where you're not paying like $1,000 for 2 kids. You're paying less. Each kid, they take half off or take a chunk off. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I've found that Reading Christian, what I'm trying to say is, I found that Reading Christian is more affordable than people think, and they're partnering with me. That's what really my wife and I were like, okay, our next 2 aren't going to go the public school route. Like they're going to stay at Reading Christian, and they're just going to go on through. And, people have said along the way to us, and it's super well-meaning, but they said, you're going to waste your kids' athletic talent at Reading Christian. They need to go to Foothill, or they need to go to UPrep, or go to Shasta or Enterprise. Like you're wasting it. And I said, and I've said this numerous times to people, even if they're not going to get the same competition in league, really, it's really a league statement, whatever the sport is. What league are you in? That's not what's most important to me. Most important to me is what they believe about themselves, and who are they surrounded by when they're gone from me for 7 hours a day. Right? Because, that's the biggest thing. Who are the people that are helping shape? Who am I partnered with?
Who has real influence over them?
Exactly. And I find that people that share a very common view of God and a very common view of what's the best way to just have a society and raise kids and have freedom and have a certain amount. I have a certain amount of access to my kids' teachers and to the administration and everybody does at Reading Christian, just to go in and have a conversation if there's something going on. And because it is private, I am really the customer.
Yeah.
Compared to, when
really
I've been in
have
public school,
it
doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Like they got their policies and it's whatever. And I'm not disparaging that. They're stuck and they do their best. Around here, I think they do their best, their very best. But I've just found Reading Christian just to be such a better fit for my kids. And along the way in sports, my kids have become super confident in their abilities while still at Reading Christian and find success. Micah was able to be a part of the Reading Christian football championship and then the basketball championship. And my son Cole, who got to only play his senior year at Reading Christian, had a blast. And Cole's everything the athlete that Micah and Wesleyan are for our family.
And we have to talk about Wesleyan because the girls team went to the championship.
They went to the championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much fun. Coach Scott Alexander, Livy Lindsay, those guys, I got to help coach also, but those guys did such a great job with those girls. And we, unfortunately, as coaches, we thought this was going to be a rebuild year. So we went in with pretty low expectations. We even said to ourselves, we might not win a game for a couple weeks as this season goes on.
And you didn't go into the championship.
And it was the exact opposite. These girls, these 8 girls just surprised us, kept surprising us, kept getting better, and then beat Weed, which was a shocker in the section championship game, and then went all the way to the D6 championship and lost to a really, really good Antioch team, Cornerstone Christian.
No, but that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
to go to the championship and this was a great sports year for Reading Christian. I don't think this is going to be repeated. I mean, this one's a tough one.
No, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think it stems from a lot of those kids growing up going to Reading Christian. You know,
Yeah,
we
Gerald Piper and I were talking about that they had been playing sports together for such a long period of time. The level of communication and trust that gets built, you know, is like that's the part that you can't just put on paper. It's not just X's and O's.
Right.
When people really trust each other and they communicate at a high level and stuff, it's huge.
Right.
But you see that in professional sports too. You see where superstars go to a team and you think, oh, they're going to crush everybody, and they can't coordinate.
Right.
And then a team that's like, well, they're not that good, or they might have one superstar and they go all the way. I think like the last time the Warriors won, you know what I mean? Like that's on paper. You had just other teams that had these super megastars. I mean, Steph's there, but they played very, very well together. So we're biased, obviously, Golden State Warrior fans, but it's like that with, I think you see that over and over.
Right. I think that you have kids that grew up in pre-K together at Reading Christian and played dodgeball they've done a lot of sports together, and this junior class in particular who has come all the way through and also picked up some pretty stellar athletes along the way. I mean, we got in 4th or 5th grade Wyatt Shaws, and those families came to, you know, who ends up being a quarterback that throws 55 touchdowns this year. 55 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is.
That's insane. I was there to watch them, but that was insane. And then I've thanked the Ogden family numerous times for sending Brody Ogden to us from Fall River. Oh my word.
Yeah.
like those are some of the things, and those guys they're all so tight. They enter in. It's a different, I mean, you've got kids at Reading Christian.
Yes.
It's a different atmosphere when you got
different.
An elementary school, a junior high, and a high school on the same campus, where the older kids do not pick on the younger kids.
No, they mentor them.
If they pick on them, that's going to be they're going to police it amongst themselves first before adults get involved, and then you know they're going to love on them. They're going to mentor them. They're going to include them in whatever they're doing. It's a unique thing. I mean, I see it, and I'm still not used to it. I'll just say one more thing, and then I'll let you also jump in. My son Micah is a TA for kindergarten, and
as a junior in high school.
Yeah, he's a TA for kindergarten, and there was a Reading Christian School dance, and my daughter Wesleyan and some of the girls that are in 9th grade are getting ready at our house. You know, the moms are over helping them get ready. And one of the girls in 9th grade has a sister that's in kindergarten. Now I'm just like sitting there in the living room, and Micah's there. And so this 9th grade girl walks in with her mom, and then the little girl walks in, and she walks in and she looks at Micah and she's like, "It's my teacher, Mr. Micah." And Micah gives her a hug, and it's just this interaction that's like, yeah, you guys go to school together, and you're a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old, and you're so happy to see your teacher, Mr. Micah. But it's just like, it's a totally rad campus. It's unique. It's super unique here in the North State. And it is a kind of probably people have made up their mind about it in a way that is probably don't understand the upside of Reading Christian is insane for your kids. It's insane.
No, I completely agree. I told a couple of stories when Gerald was here about immediately watching the mentorship, watching the high school kids work with the junior high and even elementary kids, and including them in activities, and not just like, what's the right word for it? Not just like tolerating them, like, okay, but like, okay, you got 2 6th graders, 1 6th grader in this, and passing them the ball and saying, shoot, no, set a screen, like, and you're watching this and going, this was not the experience I grew up with. Mm-hmm. This was not the experience I don't think anybody grew up with.
No.
It was the opposite, and it was incredible environment. And that plays it out. There's like stories that you said, I don't think you said the word policing. That was a word my son told a story of, you know, there was some banter going on in the locker room that kids shouldn't do, and a high school kid walks in and says, "Hey, you're better than that. Don't talk like that." Mm-hmm. Not, you know what I mean? Like, and not in a mean way, but just like, that's not the best version of you.
Yeah.
To have like a 16-year-old say that to some 12 and 13-year-olds, like they straightened up. Cause you know, when you're in junior high school, you look to high school kids. That's a common thing. And the big high school kid, for them to say like, hey, you have better character than that. Not like, be quiet or whatever the stuff that we kind of grew up in. I don't know if you went to like public school, but yeah, I didn't go to Compton High School. Okay. I'm not going to sell it like that. I went to Shasta High School, but make no mistake. The seniors gave the freshmen wedgies and took their lunch money. It was, get out of here, that kind of stuff. Right. There wasn't any strong arming or anything, but it was clear there was a pecking order. Yeah. Right. And you did not step out of that pecking order. And this was the exact opposite of like, hey, we're going to lift you all up. And I saw that. And I mean, I was blown away by it, and you still see it. Right. And that's the intangible thing that, I think people who are, if you're looking for a Christian education, absolutely, it's a no-brainer. Right. But if you're just like, man, I just don't like some of the things that are being taught, or I don't like the way things are being handled. And this is always like this conversation. You and I were talking before, like we said, hey, like, oh, you got to be politically correct. I'm gonna cross over the line a little bit here, but I talked about this a little bit with Gerald, where I know school teachers, and they will tell you how unhappy they are with the system. Mm-hmm. And the second somebody outside the system criticizes it, they rally together, because they can't separate somebody saying the system's broken. They hear it as, you're saying I'm broken. Mm. Like when you say that our education system has flaws and it needs some course correction. Yeah. They don't hear it like that. They take it personal, and that's a human thing, and that's everybody. I also brought up that you see it a lot in law enforcement. I had Eric on here, and I had Officer Berg on here, and I'm a big proponent and supporter of law enforcement. Right. But it's really important that law enforcement polices itself too, and says, hey, when people do bad things, or when our system's broken, it behooves us to fix it, address it, and fix it. We're overall part of a community. Right. Right. And it's really important. A healthy community criticizes itself. A healthy individual analyzes themselves and says, hey, how can I improve? And so like these things they're not attacks on teachers or administrators. No. They're saying this is a system that is financially not optimal at all. There's a lot of money. I always hear all the time, there's no money for schools. I happen to know vendors in the software industry that service schools, and they're like, there's tons of money. Yeah. It's not handled very well, and you could say that about our state. I mean, well,
it's the broken system is that you start. It's such a broken system, and there's great people in it that are doing good stuff, and
they're frustrated with it.
They are.
So so that's what the Redding Christian approach, and it is built into the ideology underneath, but it transcends that, and I think you were talking about these are my people. Even if we don't go to the same church, or they don't even attend church, there's some fundamental ideas about personal responsibility, personal growth. Right. The fact that you have to contribute to the group, for the overall group. Everybody has to contribute. Yeah. Some will contribute more than others, but you cannot have a system where everybody's looking to take from the system. Right. Jonathan Haidt did a great TEDx presentation on that, where he talked about, every system has a certain number of, he called them givers and takers. And he said, for as long as society's existed, there's been a percentage of takers. You're never going to be at 0%. But there's a tipping point. His tipping point was 12%. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. And they ran like mathematical models and stuff like that. And he said that America itself had gone over the 12% mark right around 2011. And he doesn't explain exactly how he got those numbers. Here's the takeaway, right? As I go way down the rabbit hole, the takeaway is that to be part of a healthy community, people have to feel part of that community, and they have to contribute, but they also have to feel like their contribution counts. Mm-hmm. And I think you kind of touched upon that a second ago, where you said, I can go in and give my feedback because I'm the customer, and they view you as a customer. They view you as somebody who's making a choice, a financial decision. Right. And if they don't service that, you can choose to take your financial decision somewhere else. Right. And in a system where it's like, well, you have no choice. You have to take what I get. That right there, you've taken that very key element that helps improve the system. You've taken it out. Right. Like you have no choice. That's why What have we always been taught about monopolies? Are they good for people? Are they good for the marketplace? No. And that's kind of what, we talk about is there is a monopoly and there's no mechanism for it to course correct.
Right.
And this doesn't exist here.
Right.
This is a extension of the free market.
Right.
Saying like, well, if we don't do what these parents want as a group, they have a choice to take their money elsewhere.
Right. That's where round and round we've tried to get school vouchers, different things that would allow a free market to be able to say, okay, I get $10,000 to go to Redding Christian or whatever. The state's going to take my money that would apply to Shasta or whatever, and it gets shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But if vouchers were real, Redding Christian would be probably one of the very most popular schools.
Yeah.
It would be. And if there's value there that isn't necessarily for people that want to have personal responsibility, freedom, a Christian worldview, a Judeo-Christian worldview. Like you're going to get something there that that you want as an extension of your home.
Yeah.
And it's very unique. It's unique, and I think it's hidden. And I'm happy that the school is moving to a bigger campus. I know that changes people's rhythm of where it is.
And it's also in Redding. It's coming from Palisaggio to Redding. It's just a little tiny less commute.
Right off the 44.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it a lot easier to get to. They're doing quite a bit of upgrades there.
Yeah. I saw they ripped out the basketball floor. Yeah. My buddy shows up the other day and he's got a bunch of parquet in this trailer behind his truck. I'm like, what? He's like, they were selling the old basketball floor. He's building a tiny house.
Yeah.
And he's like, I bought all this for like $130. Do you have any idea how expensive this would be if I go buy it? He's got to refinish it. He's got to do some stuff to it. But it was like, this is real good parquet. And so he had a bunch of sections. He's like, I got more than enough. But so I was like, I didn't even know they were doing that. And then I'd seen some of the posts. So it's the campus. It's on Hartnell. It's out Hartnell. It's the old Cross Point, which was the old North Valley Baptist way back in the day. It's past the new Holiday. So if you're headed east on Hartnell, you go past Holiday and it's just a little ways down on your left. You really can't miss it if you're
No.
If you're driving down Hartnell and you pass Holiday and you miss it, stop staring at your phone.
Yeah,
that's the sign.
It's right there on the left.
So they're the new year they're gonna be there. It's a much larger campus.
Yeah, they're gonna have to keep the renting the gym and football field at the Palisaggio campus, which I live in Palisaggio, so that's great that I can get right to that gym pretty quick. I got keys to that gym. That helps having two gyms because the school has grown so much. And just a couple years ago, actually, when Micah and the crew kind of rolled through junior high, we went from Redding Christian Junior High went from competing in a league that had some other schools, some of the smaller schools, Junction and some of the other smaller schools, to be in with Sequoia and UPrep and all of those schools. So, which has been great because the junior high sports now are the same and on par with any other school in town, where at maybe 10 years ago, it wasn't. When you would make a choice to go from fifth grade into junior high sports, the school has taken a huge step up, and the school will continue to take a step up at some point. And I don't have any sort of fortune-telling ability, but I would be shocked if in, however long it's Redding Christian is in D4 in all its sports, and then or D5 and then D4 eventually here, being very similar to UPrep.
Well, maybe
it's going to happen because
coming into the Redding city limits, I think
some of the most gifted athletes, their parents. I mean, honestly, they not all, some. So many of the Foothill kids that are great athletes went to Redding Christian. It's a feeder for the other schools. UPrep, like some of the best athletes. Lots of parents have that mindset. Redding Christian is the best school to send elementary school wise if you can afford it. Again, and I think it's a car payment is how I'd explain it. And then they bounce. But if Redding Christian kept all of their athletes, that would be a problem for all the other schools because they have such great. And now I'm being a little bit
biased, maybe
and I don't want to say arrogant, but I just see that. I see it from a coach's mindset of like we just watch talent walk out the door because it's the idea that the sports aren't as good in high school, the leagues aren't as good for sure. The EAL, Chico, Pleasant Valley, Foothill, Shasta, Red Bluff, Enterprise. Those are great leagues for like football. Those are great leagues for basketball that during the league time, it's a slugfest in a lot of it, which is fantastic. However, that doesn't minimize that Reading Christian has to go play really tough schools too in football and basketball. They just, during the league time, we've tried forever to get into D5, and we keep getting shut down by Weed and Trinity and those crew, because we should be playing in that league.
What do you mean by shut down? How's that get shut
So
down?
you have to bring in a certain number of sports beyond your key football or basketball, and they have it set up. And you should have asked Gerald when he was on here.
I didn't know to ask.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not the person that he would explain it better. But because they have their league set out with whatever number they have have it set, and they won't let us in.
Gotcha.
Now I hope a Trinity AD or a Weed AD. I think it's more Trinity. Hears this and goes, "That's not true." Great. Bring us into D5. That would be awesome.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, how intertwined are you with Reading Christian? I mean, I know you were on the coaching staff, and obviously your kids play.
Yeah.
Are you involved outside of that?
Not really. I mean, I'm very involved in the sense that I help coach.
You volunteer a lot?
I volunteer a ton.
Okay.
I'm very involved in that way. And then I do cover some of the Bible classes sometimes. They ask me to cover Mr. Smith's or Mr. Vaughn's class, or even the junior high Bible. So, with that, and that's the way it is there with the school is very connected to all the churches. So, the Valley or Risen King or Stirring Pat, they all do it too.
So you're touching upon your day job, right? So because your day job is you're a pastor.
Right. So it is an extension of ministry, but it's great. And you get to see the students, you get to see what it's like, you get to see what the teachers are talking about, and it's great. It's a great experience to be on campus. Coaching the kids are great. This year, this is a rabbit trail, but it is a clear point of the uniqueness.
I'll follow you.
Of Reading Christian. So the varsity boys team has Coach Dwyer, who's the head coach, Mike Dinius, who's the assistant. And I always like to say I'm second assistant, and I don't always have to show up, right? I'll show up, I'll communicate, but I'll show up when I want to. Well, Van Williams, physical therapy, it's in the, oh gosh, Van will not be happy. Anyway, he's a physical therapist. He's an awesome basketball coach. He's coached JV at Reading Christian forever. He didn't coach JV this year, so he helped also. And he brought a guy, his name's Aaron Hungerford, and to be a coach. He just shows up. I've never met Aaron before, but Aaron's amazing. He coached JUCO ball over on the coast. Like, he knows everything about, like.
How old is he?
I don't know.
Is he like a young guy?
No, he's not a young guy. He's got a kid in high school. I don't know, 40s maybe.
Okay.
I hope Aaron's like, what? I don't know how old Aaron is, but Aaron's just a stud. But I bring this up because Reading Christian has this unique ability sports-wise to not have to jump through any hoops. You got to get your background check. You got to do that kind of stuff. The stuff that you have to do, fingerprinting, all that.
Yeah.
But if you want a great coach to come on, he doesn't have to be a teacher at the school, or she doesn't have to be a teacher at the school. You just bring them on, and it benefits the kid right away.
Yeah.
So Reading Christian has some phenomenal coaching, and it's not like you don't have to wait for whatever, at the public schools, it doesn't work that way.
No.
There's good coaches, but to bring people on,
there's
it's
seniority
tough.
as teachers and stuff like that. There's an infrastructure and a hierarchy as far as like the coaching. Yeah.
And Gerald is a phenomenal AD that works with all the coaches just to get you whatever gym time you need, whatever it takes to help build the sports programs. There's not a lot of wasted energy when it comes to trying to help athletes and families have a great experience sports wise.
And Reading Christian, we're talking a lot about athletics, but they have excellent academics as well.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know if you can touch upon that. I just know that I know several kids, and they're very intelligent kids. I know my kids are going, and their education is top notch.
Right.
So it's a great school because we're hitting the athletics pretty hard.
Yeah.
But you kind of had a sensitivity to that because you said when you chose Reading Christian, people were like, "Hey, man, you're hurting your kids' athletics."
Right.
I think, and I could be really wrong. So this is coming from a guy who I didn't play college ball or anything like that. But years ago, I got to think about how to tell this story and not throw anybody under the bus. This is something, here's a pattern I saw. I want my kid to get really good in sports so they can get a college scholarship. And okay, great. What are their grades like? They're not that good. Wait, I just help me out here because my brain is struggling to go, I want my kid to do well in sports, so we'll get a discount so that they can get a really good academic education. Meanwhile, their academics aren't doing well. And I'm like, is the cart way in front of the horse here? So I've thought for a long time that athletics serve an incredible purpose. Incredible education for kids to learn communication and learn self-discipline and learn teamwork and learn sacrifice. You want to be good? How many hours are you going to put into practicing? You know what I mean? Are you going to push yourself so that you are exhausted because the other kids are? And the athletic environment is such a great objective measuring, right? You either won the game or you didn't. In a lot of what we do, especially in today's society, is so subjective. There is no way to measure anything anymore. Yeah. And in athletics, it's very objective, right? And so you don't, there is a complete meritocracy. It's one of the last meritocracies left. Our society has tried to dismantle a lot of these. And so I think sports are fantastic for that. But I think about if your goal though is, hey, I want my kid, I think this is most people's goal. I want my kid to receive an education that's going to give them a skill that's going to serve them through life. It's going to help them. They're going to get a great career or a great job. They're not going to be financially destitute, right? But that somehow gets like washed. And I think our higher education system has been under major scrutiny. Depending on how long you've been listening, some people are only catching it the last few years, but I remember listening to people in the late 90s saying that our education system had shifted and it wasn't really designed to get people that would do well in the workplace. And you think some of the most successful people that we celebrate, they didn't finish college. The people that we've classically, and they're outliers, but there was something in there saying like our education system wasn't really trying to give the right skill. I told my kids there's two kinds of knowledge that is of value. There's knowledge that's self-improvement. This is things like how to move your body, what to put in your body, how to treat yourself, and we can go in a lot of different ways. Then there's value, there's knowledge that you can exchange in the marketplace, meaning like, why does a brain surgeon make so much money? Because he can operate on your brain, and that's a pretty rare skill, right? So any knowledge outside of that is trivial at best, novel, or it can be very detrimental because it can make you think you're getting knowledge that there is no value. The marketplace says, I don't want to pay you to write a Russian poem. I don't want to pay you for these things. And a lot of people went through the education system, took on a lot of financial debt, and then went in the marketplace. The marketplace said, no, thanks. Right. And they were, I think, rightfully upset. Should they have seen the writing on the wall? Well, when you've been pitched, a game plan, and you wake up one day and you've got the financial debt, the one debt that you can't write off, and you didn't get any of what was promised, it's kind of a bait and switch. Right. And so I see that, and I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I see that as you start to stack these things where, you have like people are like athletics to get academia, but your academia is not any good, but the athletics is good. Well, I mean, you're really stacking somebody up to wake up and be in their early 20s and say, I owe a ton of money. Right. I can't work in any type of environment that I'd like to work on if I can even get work, especially now. And I'm mad. And now society does have a problem. Yeah. And I think we're going through that. I think we've been going through that for a while now. And I think unfortunately, it's about to get worse.
It is, absolutely.
And so
absolutely.
What's the cure, Joey? Well, the cure is going back, waking up at 23 and having $150,000 in debt and no discernible skills. That's a different solution. But going back to these kids and teaching and putting academics, and not just academics like arithmetic and algebra, these things are fairly important. But like we talked about good citizenship, communication, being part of a group. Yeah. Those are Those
critical
transcend.
thinking too. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put this all together in a way. When you asked about education with Reading Christian, it, for what it's been, I know the world has changed with AI. So we'll go there in 1 second, just because I think it is appropriate with where Reading Christian is at and just education overall. Reading Christian was really good for my kids educationally.
Yeah.
Really good.
Really good.
When we took our son to go apply for a school that's a local charter school, the counselor said, where's he from again? And I said, Reading Christian. He said, oh, Reading Christian, he'll be fine. All the Reading Christian kids get in. You know, it's some of the other schools that they don't get in. And I'm not trying to be disparaging, but that was a conversation he had with me.
People need to hear that.
Yeah, but that's what he had with,
Yeah,
that's a conversation he had with me. And so our kids, great. They understand, because one of the most important things is you want your kids to understand concepts. They can understand concepts, then they can learn how to learn, like huge. And the consistency of Reading Christian has helped my kids be way farther ahead than I was at their age. Because they didn't switch schools, like they haven't had as much stress. They get stressed, but they haven't had as much stress as some of the other kids, especially Micah and Westland. They've, like, I feel like we've like I said, found our crew, found our tribe. We kind of know what Reading Christian is, and they're taking them all the way through with the same drum beat in the way that they can dance to it. They can hear it. Like, it's not switching it up. They don't go through, well, now we're going to teach you new math. Now we're going to teach you new ideas on whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So here's up to today, right before I came here. I'm engaged with Reading Christian in a way of asking them how they're going to embrace AI, because they got to figure that out. I wouldn't have that same ability to do it in other situations.
Well, the decision is going to be made far away. That's
going to
part
be
of the
made
deal. It's
far
gonna
away.
be far away.
Because we need our kids to figure out how to embrace it. They need to learn with it. They need to not use it in a way that's only going to weaken their own critical thinking skills and their ability to solve problems. But it's an assistant and a tool, but an assistant to help them learn. It's phenomenal. So how is Reading Christian going to embrace that? The nice part about Reading Christian is they're open to listening. I mean, you can go to a board meeting. Like, you can go to a board meeting and have access to people that are making decisions and have influence, and they'll hear you out, which is, again, I'm the customer. You're the customer. And we can hear no, and they'll say no. That's a great part about their leadership.
Yeah.
They know who they are. They know that they're Christian. They're going to say no to some things, or they're going to say, we don't have the resources for that right now, but we'd like to do that in the future. That's the great part of it. They're not perfect, but it's a way better system.
Yeah.
Way better system to partner with our family and other families in the region to help their children grow up to be all that God has for them, or grow up to be the productive citizens that they hope they would be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you touch upon AI. I started using AI. It's been a few years now. About 5 months ago, I decided that at 54 years old, I was going to have a different career path. And I started going down the AI engineering path. And it has completely changed. I use AI, does probably 90% of my interfacing at work all day is with AI. There was a learning curve. And so when you talk about AI, I think most people think ChatGPT.
Right.
And that's a wonderful consumer facing piece.
Right.
But I had to learn, like, okay, what's really going on? What are the mechanics of it? What can it do? What can it not do? It is, it's moving very, very quickly. I went through my dystopian period and had to call Pastor Bill and say, I'm having a real existential crisis here.
Right.
And the response was, fear not, for these things must come to pass. And then that gave way to, I don't want to say a utopian, because that's a little too, but I started seeing it different. First off, I stopped consuming certain channels that were like doom and gloom and, clickbait and stuff, and started consuming more of the engineering channels, more of the people like, look, this is how we use it. This is what it is. And it was kind of like, how you have to read a passage more than once and then it clicks. I had to go through it and rebuild it and rework. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I get this. I'm not going to try to pitch that I'm, yeah, totally nailed it. I got AI down. No, not that at all. But it's my career moving forward. And I've been teaching my kids and introducing them to it and trying to figure out how do you introduce, I kind of came from Joey, you have to learn this. Like, make no mistake. It's going to affect, its effects are already felt, even if the public doesn't understand they're feeling it.
Yeah.
It's going to have a massive effect in a incredibly short period of time.
Right.
It's moving like nothing we've ever seen.
Right.
The next 10 years, these are some bold statements. The next 10 years in human history will exceed the last 100. Yeah. Very, very fast. Most people are, when they think of AI, they think of ChatGPT. They don't think of DeepMind that mapped out, all of human history. We've been working on mapping out proteins, and it's an incredible challenge that they map out these proteins, right? I know this is getting crazy, but it's just a strong challenge. And I think if it's right, humans had only mapped out like 26 proteins, and we're talking hundreds, if not thousands of minds working on this. And DeepMind, I think, has done 250 of them in 3 months.
It's wild.
It's when
wild.
When pointed to the right. And what is it? It's just it's a giant neural network. It's mapped after, similar to how the brain works. And you have to train it on certain data, but you can give it, certain problems, and it can run through these problems at an incredible exponential rate.
Right.
And so it just speeds up. There's a great line. AI is not going to take your job. A human using AI is going to take your job.
Right.
And it attacked software designers first, but it's going to move into every knowledge worker.
Yeah.
And it's going to do it this year. This year.
Yeah. It's insane.
That was a long diatribe.
No, it's insane. And so I see the world like you're describing the world. I see AI the same way. And so I think about my kids, and I think about, I still see places like Redding Christian offering value, but Redding Christian has to embrace AI and adapt. And so, being able to be at a school that you can have those conversations. And again, I know Redding Christian, sports, everything, talk a lot about Redding Christian. There's other great schools in the area and people that are wrestling with the same things. I got a really close friend at Shasta High School, who, they're top notch in so many ways. The programs they have at Shasta High are awesome, but still that's going to affect them. The robotics, everything that's happened, we keep saying to a lot of young people, you may want to consider the trades first right now. Go be an electrician, or go get that, whatever trade it is that's offered that seems like that's not going to get hit by AI the same way. Because the world has changed.
I think you're only kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
I think that because one of the words that you used in there, robotics, is because AI will advance everything, and
it will eventually.
It's going to move. It's hard. There's nothing in human history that has moved this fast, and so trying to wrap your mind around how fast it's already moving, it's already moving.
Yeah.
And the AI that you and I have access to is not the forefront of AI. They don't release. They go, oh, they just released this model. It's like that version that's been in testing for they're already several versions ahead. I was talking to a CTO of a bank, I don't know, about 6 months ago, and he was talking about how this is a very large international bank, and they have a contract with Google, and he said, we're using a couple of Gemini models ahead of what you think is the new model that just came out.
Yeah.
And the internal Google engineers that we talk to are using a couple of models ahead of us.
Yeah.
And so it's way further along than people think.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about, first off, I don't think you have anything to worry about Terminator. That's a great movie, novel, scare everybody type stuff. But you don't have to worry about that. That's not what it really looks like. You can think of it more, maybe you can, is there's a bunch of mathematicians and they've got chalkboards and chalk. And one mathematician walks in and he's got a Texas Instrument calculator, and now they're going to do math problems. Who's going to win?
Yeah.
It's like you get a chalkboard, and I'm just going to use this. If anybody remembers the TI-85, I did for chemistry in the early 90s, It's like, I'm going to blow your pants off.
Right.
No problem. 4,637 divided by 36 to the third power. Like, okay, here's the answer. And you're like, wait, I hadn't written out it's going to move like that.
Right.
It still requires a human, but a human that leverages it right. Keyword there, leverage, is going to far exceed the old paradigm where you had 20 workers in a room. I think that's going to give way to things like UBI is a big conversation right now. I watched a podcast the other day talking about UHI and UBI, so universal basic income and universal high income, and how we're just going to have the haves and have-nots are going to separate even more. This has been a big complaint for a while that the top 1% has like 50% of the income and 90% of the assets. And it's like, it's not slowing down.
Yeah.
It's going. Wow. This was quite the arch from the football team winning, huh?
Yeah. It's a wild time to be alive.
Yeah, it is. I think that, to me, there's tremendous opportunity, but you have to take it. It's not going to come to you on the couch.
No.
The output is going to come to a lot of people on the couch, and they're going to stay comfortable on the couch. But I think we've kind of seen that in our society for at least a couple of decades now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it might create a floor that less people will fall through. So that universal basic income, but the people that utilize it and move with it, they're going to see incredible gains during the same time. I think there's incredible opportunities. Next 36 months, huge. Yeah. And I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a chimp regurgitating what smarter men have said.
We live at an intersection of history that is insane. And you think about history and go, I wish I was alive during that time. We're alive during the time.
Yeah, we are.
It's insane.
It is.
It's insane. So,
it is.
I mean, you think doctors, lawyers, some of the key jobs in our society are radically changing.
Yes.
You could have other people making more money than lawyers and doctors in the AI world. Like those, when you can have robots giving you precise diagnosis and all the different things that are coming, it's not that far away. Like you said, it's closer than we realize.
The biggest complaints I see against AI from a legitimate complaint, like, well, it hallucinates. Well, people hallucinate. It can give you wrong answers. Yeah. It can do certain things.
Right.
Humans can give you wrong answers.
Right.
It's more about people not understanding how to put in the guardrails and how to train the AI and how to keep the AI on point.
Right.
Because it really is just a giant brain with no memory.
It's just a computer. Yeah. Right.
And no emotion.
Yep.
It has no emotion. So that means it's not hungover at work. It didn't just get in a fight with its spouse.
Doesn't have to sleep. Yeah.
Doesn't sleep. It's not mourning something that happened.
Nope.
So that you take that away, and it's just a really powerful. I told my kids, think of it like you have access to 4 geniuses.
Yeah.
4 super intelligent. They're your friends. Just make it easy. So that, and then you can just ask them questions. So it's, what questions do you ask?
Yeah.
How do you ask the question?
Right.
How do you pose it? And it's just getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
It's going to hit it's kind of already hit a threshold where it's like, is somebody with a 320 IQ that much more valuable than somebody with a 280 IQ? Well, I guess if I was trying to space travel, but if I'm just trying to keep my books or figure out maybe a financial situation in my business, or I was trying to figure out how to do something. Hey, my garbage disposal, oh, well, that's probably this, try this, this, and this. You take that and you add it to robotics, and you can start to see, wait a second, you have a machine that can physically, it has hands now, right? Whatever that looks like, not just anthropomorphic hands, but it can physically do something. And it's got the 280 IQ.
Yeah.
And it has no desire to kill you. It has no desire to, it has no there's none of that. Emotion and memory is nothing. It's just like, oh, okay, do this task.
Right.
Yeah, you can imagine that it starts to get sci-fi really fast.
It's upon us.
A friend of mine said the other day that he said, I think we're going to go through a couple of years of Mad Max, and then it's going to give way to Star Trek. And I was like, I think, not quite the Mad Max, but I get it. People are just going to be like, oh, this is crazy. What's going on? And, you look at like the financial markets right now and what we're going through, and they shouldn't really be going through what they're going through. It's honestly humans getting super emotional and trying to figure out something, and then it freaks out and then it stabilizes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a very similar thing. It's more the humans that are the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's again, it's wild. It's fun. It's like the Bible talks about. We need to understand the times and
Mhm.
what the Lord has for us, because Christians, like pastors, churches, need to figure out how to embrace AI as well. And I know, like I've talked to people, and they get pretty spooked out by it, and it's not. It's a tool,
It's just a tool. It
and it
really
could be
is.
used for good or bad, and and you can, for us at Pathway, we recognize that people will feel a certain way about it, but we use a lot of AI to free us up to not have to do those same tasks. And Pastor Bill in particular has taught us how to build a lot of experts and apps and all sorts of things. He's a computer scientist.
He is.
He's
He is.
ridiculous. His
Yeah.
son JD is amazing too. I mean, just amazing at that. And I mean, Margie, Josie, they're all awesome. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know his wife at all, but
I've met her like a
oh,
couple
gosh.
times just for a brief minute.
You want
She
to
was
put two?
she was busy working.
You want
all
to
the
put two
time.
brilliant people together and then have kids? Like they're brilliant. She's brilliant. She's a lawyer by trade, and but they've both embraced it in a way, and our staff has embraced it for the blessing of our church and our community. So
I think that's the approach to have. I think we have negative connotations because of all the science fiction that came out.
yeah,
I mean, Age of Ultron, Terminator,
Right.
like it never painted it out as a HAL from 2000. This is all Stanley Kubrick's fault. That's now that I think about it, he started this whole thing. No, but it's always been portrayed as it. But I think what it is people are taking, you say, okay, this thing's going to be super intelligent. Let's take all of the flaws of humanity and let's project them on a computer. So immediately the computer is greedy and the computer's fearful and the computer has envy and it's more intelligent than me.
yeah,
And you kind of like look at like a lot of the stories we've heard about, the Homo sapien and Neanderthals and stuff like that. This human history is constantly conquering. It's constantly Genghis Khan or what we've been taught
Yeah,
about.
right.
It's just constant conquering, and then we project that on this thing that it's just transistors. Deep down, it's just transistors, but it's
Yeah.
but it'll do the math for you a lot faster than you'll do it, and it'll do it while you're sleeping if you'd like.
Yep.
You
Right.
know, and if you kind of take that approach and get rid of the trying to anthropomorphize it,
Yeah.
then it is just a calculator. It's a
Yeah.
hammer. You can hit a
Right.
nail with a hammer, or you could hit another human being. But I
Yeah.
don't,
Well,
there's
that
a
is
cost for that.
that is the dilemma. What in the wrong hands it can do. That is the dilemma.
I'm hopeful
Yeah.
because it's not in the hands of government. If it were in the hands of government, I would be more nervous. I am a unabashed fan of Elon Musk. If that upsets people, I would love for them to never hear my voice again. But I think what he did for our society hopefully will be looked back upon. Because I remember when we were running this channel and I had to sue. I filed a claim against Facebook. They shut down my account, wouldn't tell me why. We went through a series of events like, hey, just give me access to my account. It never broke any rule or anything like that. But we definitely had a very positive message. And the mechanism for, if this is all pre-Elon buying Twitter, is that people, if they have a short-term memory, things were very much controlled. The narrative was
Right.
very, very controlled. And one person came along. Oddly enough, this is the guy that was very scared of AI. He was the original funder of OpenAI, Elon Musk. And then he kind of turned the corner on it, focused on his own. I think most people think of Grok and they think of a sarcastic chatbot. They don't understand that that's the Grok that's exposed to the public. There is another Grok that's running. I saw a wonderful interview with Eric Weinstein, kind of opened my eyes, where he's a brilliant mathematician, one of the few people on the planet that actually is working on combining gravity and quantum mechanics and what's known as the unified theory, right? So I just say that to go like, dude's smart.
Right.
And he's the money manager for Peter Thiel. And so I saw an interview with him just recently, and they were asking about Elon. He said, I used to get really mad at Elon because I was like, Elon, you know how important it is for us to address certain situations in the planet. And you have the money. You could put together these think tanks and you could get the best people together away from bureaucracies and just agendas, and you could have them working on these things. And the guy said, well, what did he say? He's like, he would always kind of smile and just, he wouldn't really address it. And he goes, and then it hit me. Elon put his think tank together, but it's not humans. And it's, so when you see Elon and how's he able to figure out all these things, he's had a super AI. And so his thing was, hey, I think Grok is really the brain that Elon interfaces with to, how does he get space? How does he get rockets to take off and land? Not putting down any of the engineers, but it's like, he's got this master control thing. Right.
Yeah.
And so he stopped being real pessimistic and dystopian, because he was, if you followed him years ago, and he started being very, very optimistic. And he started saying things like, we're going to have unlimited energy, like soon. We're going to do these things. And you're like, what changed? What? So I have to think it's like he's seen, hey, this isn't going to go off the rails. And so when you say like, hey, in the wrong hands, I think Google and Grok are probably at the forefront, even though OpenAI is a consumer and even though Claude is like the coding one. I think Google and Grok are doing things under the covers that people don't know. And because there's someone like Elon pushing that, I feel a little more comfortable. If you told me that the US government and the Chinese government were, if I replaced Google and Grok with the US government and Chinese government, I would be very fearful.
Yeah.
Because their track records are so bad, so incredibly bad.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm very hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm talking way too much. You're the guest. I'm supposed to be quiet.
Well, I got you going on AI.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And I'm a talker anyway. So
yeah, it's great.
So, okay. Is there any way that we can get back to, like, I don't know how to get off the AI track now.
I think I just was trying to agree with you about, about the fact that we need to embrace it and teach our kids. And if our kids are out of school, we want, like I said, I'm engaged with Redding Christian a bit on it, on how they're going to embrace it, and how even when it can be used in a way that doesn't make sense. So, even if, because some of it is flawed, right? Some of it's flawed, and
people are flawed.
But we want to, we want our kids to stay up with the changing world and how to learn. Like, because I encourage my kids to use, ChatGPT when they have questions. Because I want them to ask the question to ChatGPT in a way to teach them the concept, not to get the answer, like to learn. It's a learning tool.
Yeah.
I don't want them to have a question and just want to use AI to just get the answer. That doesn't help them in the sense of they're at an age that they need to learn how to learn.
Yes.
And they can learn faster with AI, and they can learn more precise with AI, and they can ask 25 follow-up questions instead of waiting in line with the teacher at school for that teacher to answer the question. That's why I still feel like schools just need to embrace it. They need to, and they're figuring it out. They're figuring out how to come up with the rules for when you can and can't use it, but everything's changed.
No, everything's changed.
Yeah.
So I still don't know how to get off the AI track. My brain, first off, I'm up to here in AI. So as soon as it's like a key word for me.
Oh gosh.
You know what I mean? Like,
for
as
sure.
soon as you say it, like my brain's like, great, this is all we want to think and talk about.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I gotta get off that. So, I don't think we gave enough talk about your day job, if you feel comfortable talking about it. Because I attend Pathway, and I think it's an awesome church. I have been blessed in my life to live in a lot of places, and I have attended a lot of different Christian churches. I've been to Catholic Mass and Lutheran. I even attended a Kingdom Hall when I was younger. My cousins are Kingdom Hall members for a while. I used to go, I remember in my early 20s when I first got out of the military, I used to go to Risen King. Pathway is very special. It's got a wonderful message, and I'm not going to give it justice. So this is where I'm going to hand the microphone to you.
Yeah. Because
there's some underlying philosophies that, yes, it's Christianity, but there's certain messages that I think I didn't hear at other Christian churches. Would you feel comfortable talking about that?
I think it starts with the idea of grace, and what comes to mind when someone hears the word grace, needs to be crystal clear to Christians, because it gets misused or it gets used in a way that's so general that it means nothing. And the grace of God is everything to us. And it's, we are promised to people, if you come to Pathway, you're going to discover a God that's better than you think, and a life more amazing than you ever imagined, because you're going to discover grace. And grace isn't leniency. You look, I mean, we're going to celebrate Easter coming up this weekend, and that's going to be, and tomorrow's Good Friday. We're going to look at a crucified Savior, bloodied, beat, substituted for us. That's the grace of God. That's not cheap. That was a very costly grace. But we're told that we can freely receive it. We've been saved by grace through faith. And we've taken something that I think people miss. The Bible's clear that the life that you live following God is also by grace through faith, not works. The Bible says you've been crucified with Christ, and it's no longer you who live, but Christ lives in you, lives in me. And the life that we now live in the flesh, like right now, we live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. There's this idea that you get saved and then you got to live up to being saved. And that's not the core message. It's better news than that. You're saved and you're fully loved. Your position with Christ is set. God can't see you any different than he sees Christ in the sense of your position before him. Your practice can be all sorts of different ways, but he wants to have that practice of you following him flow out of your relationship with him that's already set, that you're not trying to earn, I'm a good son, I'm worthy of your love. You're already loved. So you can, the freedom, you're free to go and follow him and go and small s, be sovereign here in this life. And so Pastor Bill, to be back to just being a little bit more of the general of, Pastor Bill has done a phenomenal job of showing that you're already blessed and you're not working for your blessings. You're already fully loved. You're not hungering to be loved. And he's done it in a way that of the last 23-4 years that he's been there, that it feels like he's every Sunday seemingly giving you a message that's a different facet of grace and God's grace that you've never seen before, that makes a difference in your everyday life of how you treat your spouse or how you treat your kids or how you engage in this, how you take a risk and start a business, or as you follow God, that you're just getting this new sense of God's grace in your life. So Pathway Church is unique in the message of grace. It's also unique in that you will hear the gospel, the good news that you can be saved. You don't have to be an enemy of God. The God has done everything possible to be in relationship with you, and that you're going to hear that message, and whatever, come as you are, whatever, you don't have to clean yourself up, but you're going to hear the message that you can come in the right relationship with God, and you're going to be given an opportunity to say, hey, do you want that? Because Pastor Bill says he's just dumb enough to preach the gospel. He said, I'm just dumb enough to say that Christ died for your sins. Would you like to receive him today?
I know that coming from my background and the message that I heard and the way that it's changed since I started attending Pathway and the effect it's had on my life, it's one of those things that like when you say grace and when you say, just accept Jesus Christ as your Savior and it's not about works. I remember some of the arguments, and I think because I had more of a legalistic approach to Christianity. And so it was like, well, if you're a Christian, now you're extra judged. Like if you don't believe in God and you make bad mistakes, so be it. If you cross the legal line, law gets involved.
Yeah.
But if you're a Christian and you make mistakes, then that's somehow a reflection that you're not a Christian, or Christians are bad, when it's like, hey, Christian or non-Christian, you're a human being. You're always going to make mistakes. You're always fallible.
Right.
The difference is that you have God's grace, you've accepted it, and it starts like, it's like this second level of growth in your life can begin. That's a really hard, I think it's a hard concept. I think it's easy to say, but it's hard to I struggle with it right now. I can say it and believe it, but I still struggle with it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I noticed, and I think this is because of Pastor Bill's approach, is there's a lot of psychological hacks in our world. There's a lot of personal growth coaches and books, and there's a lot of stuff that is in the Bible that it's like, you got that from the Bible. You'd never piece that together. But he does it all the time, where he talks about a book that's written now or a message that's put out now. And then he goes, look here in the Old Testament, or look here what Jesus said. And it's like, is this not the exact same message? Are they basically not taking Christian teachings and then just selling them as their own? Things about, having a positive attitude, things about like, oh, well, you got a meditation, time alone with God. Reflection, pull the log out of your eye, self-improvement. There's a lot of these things, and the Bible's full of them. But when I would read the Bible and kind of lived under this legalistic, God to me was a judge. God to me was the warden. And I felt guilty. And I felt, I totally belong in jail. I am no good. And then this other message that I've received, I feel like I've had in my 50s, a completely different experience with God. Completely.
Well, it's not good news if you get saved and then you have to work really hard.
Good news, you're going to jail.
Right.
That's not good news.
It was for me, in my early 20s, someone said to me, Romans 5:8, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And I'm like, okay. And they said, well, that means your past, present, and future sin is paid for. And that had never occurred to me before in my life. That Christ had to die for it. It wasn't more like the religions that you have to keep confessing to stay up on your salvation. That this was it is finished when he said it on the cross. It's finished. Now, when somebody says, I believe in God, I don't know their heart, or I believe in Christ, I don't know their heart. But I surely can't put them on I'm just going to follow. You believe in Christ? Well, now you have to start acting like a Christian. Well, number one, they receive the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit's going to work on what needs to get worked on. And thankfully, I don't see God come to, I don't feel the sense of Scripture that everything in our life needs to be worked on all at one time. Every little shortcoming, it seems that the Lord's working with us. He's working in us. There in Philippians 2:13, for it's God at work in you both to will and to work for his good pleasure. The good news is God's actually working inside of me. It's not me having to do this. That's really good news. Because I grew up, I didn't go to church all the time, but when I did, I was around super legalistic people that I basically felt like I'm never good enough. Yeah. And I already struggled with that growing up with my home environment. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Well, I guess I'm just not good enough.
Which makes you want to quit.
I did quit. I'm going to go to hell. It's fine. I'm just going to have fun now. I've just accepted because the God that they gave me was a God that could never be pleased. Never. Basically, he died for you. What have you done for him? It's like, I don't know how hard do I have to try? But once you see the big deal of that, nothing, neither height nor depth nor angels, nothing can separate you from the love of God that's in Christ Jesus, because you and I are in Christ Jesus. We can't be separated from him. We can't. It's an impossibility. That's a whole game changer, because then I'm secure in the relationship, so I can actually, it feels a lot easier to breathe and just actually my practice becomes my position in Christ. It works so much easier. There's just this I can breathe. I can have faith to just follow God, because the entire Christian life, and I would say the entire life for any human being, whether you believe in God or not, your entire life is lived by faith. No matter what, I don't care how.
Faith in the financial system, faith in your doctor, faith that traffic, the faith the guy behind you is not going to plow into you. Yeah, you're right.
The faith that believes that there is no God, the faith that believes that whatever. Everybody lives by faith.
Faith that somebody didn't poison this cheeseburger I'm about to eat.
All the time. Our entire existence is lived by. Even if you say 1 + 1 = 2, that's logic. Well, that's a postulate. You have to take a leap of faith that A and A are actually technically equal. Like just the classic logical stuff, you can't actually prove so many things. So you have to, by faith, take everything in life. And so by faith, I can believe that God actually is for me and loves me, and I have scripture. I have the scriptures to back it up. And my only struggle is to keep believing. That's it. That's my only struggle in life, is to keep believing the true things about God and not get sidetracked and believe something else. If I have a problem with money, if I have a problem in my marriage, the problem behind my problems is a certain trust in God. What he says in his word, what he says is reality. Pastor Bill often says, you can't really break God's laws. You only break yourself against them. So if you lie, okay, yes, you're breaking a moral law, but you're actually just breaking your own self.
Yeah.
You're doing something that is causing incongruency in your own soul. Commit adultery, whatever it is, God's laws are truly unmovable. They're unmovable. They're like gravity. You can't, go ahead, jump up. You're going to come right back down. Get in an airplane. Eventually you're going to come back down, right? Gravity, when you're in the Earth's atmosphere, or in the Earth's, in the sphere. So I would say that's part of Pathway Church, is that we understand we're not perfect Christians by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's what makes us one of the most popular churches, is you could just come as you are to our church. Now, we're not going to believe everything you believe as you walk in the door. You're not going to force us to believe it, but you can come exactly as you are, and we're going to love you and present the gospel to you and get you a small group. And if you have some alternative motive that's going to come into our church and you think you're going to make us a certain way, that's just not going to happen. We're going to be true to God's word. We're going to be true to the Bible. We're going to be true to what we know is truth. But we're definitely going to be a people that says, hey, we're living by faith right now too. We're no different than you. We're no different than anybody else. We're blind beggars who found food, and it's just offering other blind beggars some food. That's it. I think that's the beauty of Pathway Church. Pastor Bill will cry still to this day that he's fortunate enough to preach grace to other people, that God was gracious enough with him that he could preach this, what he's discovered as, life-changing news, which it is to me.
It's changed my life.
Yeah. Life is so much easier is not the word. Life is so much more congruent, and you see the world for what it is. And you can, by God's grace, just walk through it. The highs, the lows, and
it doesn't remove you from the human condition.
No.
At all. And so I think that's the part that non-Christians struggle with when they see Christians. It's like somehow if you're a Christian, then you are supposed to be perfect. It's like I'm still in the mud with you. Yeah. I've just been guaranteed eternity. I've been forgiven, but we're still here. There's a lot of, this is a deep conversation. There's a lot of dynamics to it. Yeah. We're pressed for time. I have really appreciated this. Pathway services are Saturday at 5 p.m. Right. Sunday morning at 9:30.
9:30 and 11:15.
And then, unfortunately, this episode's not going to come out before Easter weekend.
I know, I time-stamped it. I apologize for that.
No, it was us. It was you were willing to meet a couple weeks ago. I wish we would have, because this would have been to say, hey, because there's some big events. Good Friday at the Civic Center. Multiple churches are coming together. Right. This will already pass by the time you see this. But if you want to attend church, Saturdays 5 p.m. Right. Sundays 9:15. 9:30. 11:15. Right. On Loma Vista.
Right. You can find us online at pathwaychurch.life. And so many people check us out online. We get the Google analytics, all that. So many people check us out online before they come. You can watch a sermon. You can learn more. You can email us hello@pathwaychurch.life and ask us whatever question you want to ask us. People email in and say, hey, how much does it cost to come to your church? That's the beauty of where people are at, honestly going, hey, no, it's free.
And you guys put on a phenomenal Christmas and Easter spectacular. It's quite a show.
It's supposed to be joyful for
Redding. It's very joyful.
It's joyful
awesome.
for Redding.
Yeah, it's an awesome experience. Thank you so much, Pastor Skinner, for coming. I appreciate you. And if anybody has any questions, they can check out pathwaychurch.life. And I think you said hello@pathwaychurch.life is the email address. General email. Thank you, sir.
All right, man. Great.